Good morning, good evening, wherever you listen to this, friends. I hope you are doing well. So, unbelievable movement here again, once again in SoFi and Palantir, and it's just kind of the broken record of what we know to happen and what we know is going to continue here. We'll start here with SoFi. Just continue to talk about it and. But one thing that we're looking at right now is that, I do think that, I use this in the other video, other channel, but I do think that, kind of where my mindset is right now is that I believe the Tom Lee theory here, where this market, the S&P 500, is moving into a 7,000 point range. Okay. Now, obviously, crystal ball, bull, 7,000 point range, what I'm referring to here. But, if that continues to happen here, this is what is going to drive this overall market with continuing here into, this is it. This is it. What we're looking at. October is really the bull case here. It is pretty much, the pieces to the puzzle that we need here to say, like, okay, the 7,000 point range here that Tom Lee and many other big investors are talking about now. This is what's going to make it possible this month with quarterlies being released. Now, next week is really when quarterlies are going to really pick up. There's quarterlies this week, but next week is like every day, like, just, company after company after company. And then, after that week, it just keeps going and going, all the way into the beginning of November. So with that, let's talk about SoFi. Let's talk about Palantir, what's going on here. And, this is just, we've been here. And I think we pretty much all know what is about to take place here. So SoFi is running back up into, look at this candlestick chart here. Look at this. Look how it sold off here from that $30 position that right when we got that rate cut. It ran up to 30, then huge sell off, found this $25 position real fast. Big sell-off. Then it's built into this new curve. Here we go, back up. And this is the thing. We know people are willing to pay $30 for SoFi, undoubtedly. And this is more than likely going to, we're going to be back at 30 before we know it. What I'm really interested in is what kind of push we're going to see getting, week by week with SoFi here. It's interesting because it's really hard to judge what's going to happen here because there's so much chaos in the market right now, like good and bad stuff, the whole government thing, then, the Fed's talking, not talking, what's going to happen here. But one thing that we know, two key solid elements, obviously talked about this, the rate cut at the end of October, and then the quarterly that SoFi will be released. And that quarterly that's going to come out here with SoFi, that's going to be pieces to the puzzle of SoFi that we've really been wanting to see. And of course, every quarterly is important. Obviously, they're all important. But this is really going to tell us, like, are we close to $1 billion quarterly? Are we in the ballpark? It's obviously the last quarterly was well up almost into $900 million range. Didn't quite hit it, but close. So this one more than not could be in that range, or maybe it's just going to shock us and be somewhere where we're completely just like, oh my gosh. So it's interesting watching this company grow year by year and, being a part of this right now. I do think there's, an immense conversation right now. Look, when you look at this chart, there is pillars being built back in here. Even look at, obviously I've got a lot of it blocked here by Anthony's head here, but and where I have the rate and why I have October 29th and December 10th. Those are the projections of the next rate cuts. That's when those are supposed to happen. And those are key moments for the stock market, but key moments too for SoFi here because, the SoFi is looking for those rate cuts. It's a bank stock and that's what it wants. So this is this could be somewhat just of another roller coaster. Here we go again. So I really don't think $30 is that big of a deal. Anywhere in the $30 range here with SoFi. I really don't look at that and go like, wow, I just don't know if we're ever going to see that. These quarterlies are really going to be the telltale signs of what we're going to see with SoFi the rest of the year. That's what's so interesting. It is it's an aggressive stock, but it's also a very aggressive company, and that's what's very interesting in it. Obviously I'm talking about SoFi, I'm talking about Palantir, and I think a lot of people have kind of slumped these two companies together now for years. I mean, even 2, 3 years ago, I was making videos talking about Palantir, talking about Sofi, Palantir. And obviously they're very different. They're not the same. I mean, they couldn't be more different. I mean, black and white. I mean, they're just, red and white. I mean, they're just, yellow and green. They're just completely opposites. 100% opposites companies. I say that because I want that to be known. I don't want the person coming in like, they're not the same kind of I know they're not the same kind of company. So what I'm saying is, though, when we look at, even, price action, what's been going on here, I mean, undoubtedly Palantir has ran to incredible numbers. I mean, just the future prices, I mean, just insanity. But two, growth has been just something really spectacular to watch with that company. But SoFi here, it's interesting because when that Q2 came out with SoFi, obviously that was just another great quarterly, but right before that quarterly and right after that quarterly, there was a lot of things that happened that were very similar to what happened with Palantir, where SoFi was getting these partnerships before and after. So those are things that are going to show up undoubtedly on these, last two quarterlies. But two, this is a situation of where 2026 is a year where I'm very curious to see, is there going to be a wall that SoFi is going to have to break down into? Is SoFi going to struggle around this $1 billion quarterly? Are we going to see this? And, obviously projections are still very high with SoFi because the company itself is finding business. I mean, it's finding crazy business with where it's pushing. And, obviously a lot of people have talked about this, but SoFi is really pushing into this younger generation 100%. I mean, they are looking for the younger generation and they're finding them. But that's what makes them so special too, because it's almost like it's like a compounding, investment, if you will, for them, because what are young people going to do over the next 5, 10, 15 years? They're gonna, obviously step one, start bank accounts, credit cards, loans, house loans, car loans, business loans, personal loans, whatever, they're going to do that. And not only that, SoFi has a really great application for people to buy stocks, and obviously they're pushing into crypto more. That's a whole nother thing that's going on with them. These are things that are just going to push into the stock 100% more, and investors know that 100%. So I think these two pillars, these two green pillars that you're seeing, this is just the start of the next leg up going into the end of October here, where we're looking for this next rate cut. We're looking for what this quarterly is going to be. And I mean, look at them. You've got the quarterly October 28th, and then you've got supposedly the rate cut on October 29th. SoFi here could go just, it could just go crazy. I mean, just absolutely crazy. So it's wild. That is just absolutely wild. So friends, I want to talk about Palantir a little bit here. And, last time I talked about Palantir had that article come out where, and it was such a, it was to me, it was like this fake little article where, this supposedly some generals, something got said that was really just blown up out of proportion. It really just taken way out of, it was just ridiculous. Essentially saying, SoFi's technology has found some problems on the battlefield, whatever. I am in the belief now where my mindset on Palantir has really changed this year. It has really changed. I don't look at Palantir as like this AI company. I'm just talking about the company in general right now. I'm not even talking about the stock. Let's talk about the company, because when you talk about the company, it will make sense of what is going to happen here and why this company is still getting tremendous deals, like on a 2-week basis at this point. I mean, every 2 to 3 weeks is like, I got another one. I somewhat look at, Palantir, and this kind of started at the beginning of the year, especially with this administration and, where Palantir really pushed into that more. It still is. And I mean, Palantir has just completely devastated bear conversation this year, 100%. And this next quarterly undoubtedly is, I mean, they're projecting this next quarterly to well be over $1 billion, which is like, okay. But I look at, why I put the Terminator up here, because I somewhat look at Palantir as like kind of like Skynet. Like, I kind of look at them like as this huge company that we are going to be seeing here in the next 5-10 years. I mean, really think about what we could be talking about here with Palantir. Imagine if Palantir doubles the aggression of finding deals, pushing into deals in 2026. Imagine, and this, Alex Karp's been talking about this. He's been leaving breadcrumbs in interviews. And this is why when CEOs talk, listen to them. Listen to the CEOs of the companies, because some of them are really good at riddles, at leaving breadcrumbs. They have to be careful what they say because of FCC, but Alex Karp is famous for doing this. He's talked a lot this year about Salesforce. And he said that, like, when Q2 came out here, he said specifically that they had to actually push away some business because they were trying to really hone in on what they were already existing deals and some bigger ones that have come in here. Obviously, I mean, now we know more about what he's talking about here. I mean, they just signed a deal 2 weeks ago with Boeing. And that's just the newest one that we know about. But with that too, Palantir, think about Palantir next year going after deals. Alex Karp has said here for the last 2 years, they've had the majority of their business come to them, where they have been reached out to. Imagine if Palantir says, you know what, we're going to expand. We are going to go out and look for bigger, better deals. Now, I imagine I don't work for Palantir. I'm not in the office. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sitting in a boardroom with Alex Karp. But I would imagine, with them taking in this massive amount of money with such a young company, that they are well able to hire more employees, well able to handle more business. And 2026 could be a huge year for this company. I mean, in 2024 was big. I mean, 2023 was big. 2024 was big. 2025 has been like ridiculous. In 2026, good God, I don't know what we're looking at for 2026. But it's really interesting to see what this company is doing. And obviously, I'm talking about the company because, I look at this and I go, now they're not just involved in, our government. They're involved in now NATO, European, all this kind of stuff. Everyone wants to work with them. And obviously, they're very, a very high security company now because, they're working with different governments. They're, in different applications. They're probably things we don't even really know about. But this is why I look at this stock and I go, you can't really put a price on it right now because the price that's on it right now is insane. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm well into the belief system that, yeah, $200, big deal. It'll, that'll probably be here in, 14, 20 days, especially with, this Q3 coming out. What I'm really having I'm struggling with here, what the future looks like is like, should I just keep buying even at these high levels? Because 5 years from now, what if Palantir is like in the top 10 most aggressive growing companies? What if it is in a place where, 2-3 years from now, this is a company that's releasing $5 billion quarterlies? Now, there's people that are going to hear that and they're going to go, that's impossible. We're living in the impossible right now. I mean, there's people last year that were saying this company will never hit $1 billion quarterly within probably 3 years. Well, I mean, look at what we're looking at here. There's just, with this AI thing that we are in right now, I don't really think normal rules apply. I really don't. And the thing is too, Palantir's backing up a lot of this. That's the thing. Like, like I said, I'll be the first one to tell you, it is highly overpriced. It is very futuristic price that you're buying right now. You're buying the hype. You're buying the what if. You're buying the I want to be a part of it. You're buying the it's just continuing to go here. My God, the stock sold off last week to, a low 70. Now it's back up in the 180 and cooking here again. I mean, this is what it is right now. And it's just, I don't know that when is this going to stop? I think that's what a lot of us are looking at right now. Like, when is this going to stop? You can't really say it's going to stop because they're still getting deals. That is what is so interesting. They're still finding business. And imagine if 2026 rolls around here and imagine, when Q3 comes out here, when Alex Karp talks, it's not if, it's when he gives an interview here. If he says, in 2026, here's kind of what we're looking at. We're going to go after more deals. We're going to, really push into more bigger business. And, that's really what we're projecting to, push into just business-wise. People are going to go crazy off that. It's wild. So, I don't want to say Palantir is like the Terminator, okay, but I look at this and I go like, it's just a very futuristic, big company that there's just going to be things that we don't understand. We just don't. And it is going to really take over, because if you obviously Skynet is not a real company, but if Terminator background theology and all that, it's like a huge industrial company that's like very top secret but making all the money. So that's kind of what I'm going after here. I look at this and I go like, I don't even think like we as investors, I don't even know if we fully understand what we're looking at here. I think some people are still in this scope, because I see, and it's always the people are like, it's going to go back down to 50, 60. And I look at that and I go like, okay, I don't even think like, I'm obviously drinking the juice on Palantir. I've been like guzzling this stuff down, but I look at it too and I go, I don't even really think I understand what I'm buying into here. Like, this is really crazy what we could be holding on to here the next 5-10 years. It really is. Even if you hold 5 shares of Palantir, it could do a lot for you in the next 5-10 years. If just look at what the last 2 years have done. There's people that bought Palantir in December of last year and held it, and they probably had more gains. They definitely had more gains than people that didn't buy it or bought other stocks. There's plenty of companies that you could have bought it. People may have bought Target or Home Depot or Costco or some other stocks back then, and they're not doing as well as the person who bought just a few little shares of Palantir, 11 months ago, 8 months ago. It's just crazy. It really is crazy. Friends, I'm going to shut up now. I really do wish all of you the best of luck. I am excited. I think everyone should be excited. It's a very interesting time in this market right now. I'm really, I just, it's a big learning curve. And, I've been in the market now pretty good amount of seasons, and, going through, the first Trump administration, then Biden administration, some, different places in the market at that time. Now we're in this just crazy bull run, AI bull run, and wondering what are we looking at here? How much longer is this going to go? And two, this is kind of the month. This is the month where we're going to find out, is the proof in the pudding. Are these AI companies, are they going to continue to release these huge quarterlies? We're about to find out. Friends, I wish all of you the best of luck. I'm gone, I promise. Bye.